Hey guys, welcome back to a roving truck talk video. As I mentioned the other day, I was getting ready to go on a trip with my youngest, a camping trip, and part of that trip is stopping off at a buddy of mine who I actually met through this channel, and we were having a discussion the other day, and I thought it would make a great topic for a video, and it's something that I think a lot of people struggle with, obviously, but the point on this is really taking a step and recognizing that when you're constantly fighting with the ex and fighting with what they're doing, and he was telling me a story about a buddy of his who's going through a really tough situation, you know, the normal crap, and you know, the ex is basically doing everything to try to push his buttons about what's going on with the kids and stuff like that. And the reality is, a toxic narcissistic person is going to push your buttons, is going to try to get that narcissistic supply and the power of being able to prove to themselves that they still got it, that they can push your buttons, boop, and make you angry and stressed. If they have someone else to triangulate with, they will do that. And every time you respond and you try to get them to be the person that you think they were going to do, and the way he was explaining it, I thought this was really good. It's like, you know, you're expecting your ex to be here as a parent, as a human, and all that good stuff, right? And they're really here. And the best that they will ever do is this. But we keep looking at it as if they should be this. And okay, they should be, right? They should be. They should be able to take a step back, reevaluate their life choices, and ultimately decide to do what's best for their kid and for the situation, to try to compromise and create the best level of peace. The problem is we are stuck with the person here. They're stuck here. They will never go up higher. They might go lower, but for the most part, they're here. You have to recognize that this is what you're dealing with. This hope of them being higher and them being better and all that kind of stuff is great, and it would be awesome if they could do that, but the reality is it's just not going to happen. The more you spend trying to force them into that box or force them to get to that level, it's going to drive you crazy. And the sad truth on this is, for them, every time that you're responding to their stuff, you know, you're kind of meeting them down here, and you're empowering them. You're making them feel like, yes, they got you. Yes, they still have the power over you. And this kind of dovetails into what we've been talking a lot about lately, and that's letting them occupy space in your mind. At the end of the day, we're the ones who choose what we're going to focus our attention on, what we're going to focus our energy on. And it's really critically important to recognize that and to realize that you can't change them, you can't get them to be a better person, you can't get them to be a better parent. And what they will do is they will push the buttons on things that they know are going to drive you crazy. This is part of the topic. In this particular scenario, the situation was the one parent is really worried about the kids being on water without drowning, basically, right? That's their fear. Ex knows it. So guess what always happens? Takes the kids out on a boating trip, no life vests or anything. And it's, I mean, one, keep in mind that somebody here, they're not going to think about what's safe in the best interest of their kids. What they're thinking of is, hey, I know Bill hates this situation. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to make sure that they know about it. Guys, recognize that this is the main reason, or the main I'm trying to think of the right word. The main catalyst for the black hole thinking video. Because unless they are doing something illegal that you need to call the cops, and the cops would snatch the kids up and run them away and put them in foster care immediately, there's not much you can do. I mean, it could be a bad decision, like in that example, taking the kids out on a body of water without the proper flotation device, and it's basically illegal, but you're not going to get, you know, you're not really going to be able to call 911 and say, oh my God, my ex is taking the kids out on a boat without flotation devices. And here's the deal. let's say you did do that. I would say there's probably a 99% chance, maybe 92% chance, that they are wearing it. It's just the story is orchestrated to push your buttons. And if they would say, oh, you know, Bill, using Bill's the name again, you know, oh, Bill's always just freaking out about everything. You know, hey, look, they're right here. The flotation devices are right here. That's the type of crap that they always do. I used to get comments like this a lot in the beginning of the channel, where people would be saying, you know, my ex is doing X, Y, Z. And it's like black hole thinking. Again, hopefully I'll put a link in the card above. Check that video out. It is so important that you just realize that when they are with the other parent, there's nothing you can do about it. And if you go to the effort to try to communicate your displeasure in the reality of the situation, they're going to revel in the fact that they got you, that they were able to push your buttons, get an emotional response out of you, and to know that they still have power over you, that they still occupy a space in your mind. Don't give them that. Don't let them have that. You know, realize that that is the game that they're playing, that that is the crap that they're spinning. Focus on what you can control, which is basically just yourself. Try to have the best time possible when you have your kids, whatever time it may be, even if it's just video calls for, you know, 10 or 15 minutes. As long as your kids know that you're interested in them and thinking about them, you know, and the low end side of that, and otherwise just make sure that you basically try to treat that when they walk in the door, that whatever happened the last day, the last week, the last 2 weeks, whatever the situation was, like it doesn't exist, and focus your attention on the kids. Don't take the bait from the ex. Don't allow their shenanigans, their elementary school level mind games to derail you from your primary focus. It's really easy to say. It's so difficult to do. And this goes across the board with anybody who is toxic. They, again, you know, they're at this level, you're expecting them to be at this level. I'm talking, even if you're talking about a friend. I mean, obviously in the first part of this, we were talking about it in the context of an ex, but it could be toxic family members, toxic work people. They will recognize what's important to you and boop, poke you right in the eye on it to try to get a reaction. They're either just trying to do it to see if they can control you, which is, that's bad, but it's the least catastrophic, or they're trying to get you to respond in a way so they can leverage off of it so they could get an advantage. At work, that typically happens whenever they're trying to steal your position or make sure that your reputation, you know, like maybe they feel threatened by you at work and they're like, well, I need to knock this guy down a peg or maybe 3 pegs to put them in their place so that leadership and everybody knows that I'm the good one and they're whatever. God, I've seen that so many times. They follow the same pattern. It doesn't matter if it's an ex-spouse. It doesn't matter if it's an ex, you know, not an ex, but it doesn't matter if it's a coworker or even a boss. They play the same stupid games. The only thing you get to do, the only thing we get to do, the only thing I get to do, the only thing you get to do is choose how we respond to it. Don't take the bait. Like in that particular story we were talking about at the beginning, all of that was just to try to rile up the ex, get them to be completely freaked out, hit that target point or that trigger point that they know you have. All of them watch you and know what's important to you, and then they chip away at it. Don't give them that victory. You're giving them space in your mind, you're giving them space in your heart that they absolutely don't deserve. You can't force them to be a different person. You just can't. But you can decide to take your life back and say, okay, you know what, this sucks, I'm not happy with it, but this is the cards I've been dealt, this is the situation I'm in, and I'm gonna make the most of it, and I'm not gonna let them have that space in my mind. I'm not gonna do it anymore. And once you're able to do that, just to be clear, once you do that, typically they're gonna ramp it up a little bit because they're like, hey, wait a minute, they're not responding to me anymore, and I need to do something to get them to respond. So prepare yourself for that, but know that it's they typically, after a while, when they realize, actually, let me back up. They continue to do the shenanigans, but when you realize what they're doing, what their game is, and what their motivation is, a lot of times what ends up happening is you can guess what they're going to do. You know what they're going to do. You're anticipating it, and once you realize it, you're like, okay, they're trying to get a response from me. All right, I'm not going to give it to them. You know, point to me, not to them. It actually helps. I remember when I went through that, and it was like when I started realizing that not responding to the button pushing was actually a victory. It actually was empowering for me. I remember back in the day, whenever I would be like, oh wow, she's trying to get me to blow up. I'm not going to do it. And it's what's really weird is what you'll notice is it actually infuriates them. It really makes them angry. So it was a cool discussion. Let me just, for the people who've stuck around for this part of the video, this is actually somebody that I've met through the channel. He's been through a lot of the same stuff, and you know, developed a friendship after a while where, you know, he's way beyond. I mean, he doesn't really watch the channel anymore because it's not pertinent. Doesn't matter. The thing is, guys, you get your life back after this. It's a horrific experience, but it doesn't last forever. As soon as you realize what's really going on and kind of make your peace with it, the level of manipulation, I guess, that the person has against you, over you, I guess overuse is a better way to say that, it starts to empower you and disempower them, which is where we all want to be. So curious what you think about this. I probably, when this video posts, I'm probably going to be in a national forest without coverage, more than likely. So would love to hear your comments, and I will respond to them when I get back and actually have some service. So on that, thanks for hanging out, and hope this topic was good and helpful for you. And I will chat with you on the next video. Take care.